Cinder-Elly by Frances Minters, illustrated by G. Brian Karras. Once upon a time, or so they tell me, there was a girl called Cinder-Elly. Ellie was good, and she was pretty. She lived with her folks in New York City. With Mom and Dad and Sue and Nellie, her sisters were mean to Cinder-Elly. When school let out, they'd watch TV. They'd ask Cinder-Elly to serve iced tea. Or else they'd play a video game, but they never asked Cinder-Elly to do the same. Sometimes when Ellie was washing the floor, they'd slide across it and out the door. What do you think would happen then? Why, Ellie would have to wash it again. Ellie cleaned up because she liked to be neat, from her hair on her head to the toes on her feet. She worked so hard. It was a pity she had no fun in New York City. But one day, Elle got a note. So did her sisters. Somebody wrote, "Sue, Elle, and Nellie, we've picked your name. You've won free tickets to a basketball game." "We accept with pleasure," said Sue and Nellie. "And I do too," said Cinder-Elly. Her sisters just looked at her and smiled. And then they said, "You can't go, child." "But I'm invited. It says so there." "You're too young, Ellie, and you have nothing to wear." "I'll shop," said Ellie. "But you've no money." Ellie's mother agreed. "They're so right, honey. There's no money for 3, only money for 2. Let your sisters go, Ellie. They're older than you." So Ellie's big sisters went right out shopping, and Ellie stayed home and did the mopping. The night of the game, as Elle watched them go, an old lady came by and said, "Ellie, hello." "Excuse me," said Elle, "but I know all the dangers. I'm never allowed to speak to strangers." "I'm your godmother, Ellie. Don't you recognize me? Last time I saw you, you were 2 or 3. "I'm here because we have things to do. Keep your eyes on my cane. I have something for you." She waved her cane once. Elle squealed like a flute. Her clothes had turned into a basketball suit. "And here's something else to go with your clothes. Glass sneakers," said Godma. "You'll need 2 of those." "Now wait, Godmother, hold on 1 minute. I'm just watching the game. I don't want to be in it." "Oops," said the lady. "Excuse my mistake. Let me see what else my cane can make." And poof! Ellie wore a satiny shirt with a beautiful flowery red miniskirt. Ellie was happy because she looked so fine. Now go to the game and have a good time. "Thank you, dear Godma. I'm glad that you came, but how am I going to get to the game?" "That's an easy one, dear. I've got a plan. I'll send you off on this old garbage can." She waved her cane and said, "Kerplike!" The garbage can became a bike. Elle got right on and almost fell off, 'cause riding a bike in glass sneakers is tough. "You'll be fine, Elle. I know that this is true. There's just one thing I ask of you. Be home by 10, or else, my dear, your pretty new clothes will disappear." "No problem," purred Ellie, as sweet as a kitty. Then she rode off through New York City. The game was just starting when Elle got to her seat. Out ran Prince Charming. People rose to their feet. "Let's go, Prince Charming!" Elle yelled with the rest. Of all her school's players, Prince was the best. Prince was passing the ball, but he looked at the stands. Boom! Some huge guy knocked the ball from his hands. Ellie stood on her toes and raised her arms fast. She caught the ball before it blew past. Hooray, yelled the crowd, except Sue and Nellie. Their sisters just stared at Cinder-Elly. Is that Ellie? asked Sue. No, that's a bad guess. She's older than Ellie and much better dressed. Here's the ball, Ellie shouted as she threw it up high. In the future, be careful. Thanks, miss. I'll try. Prince stared at Ellie and said, Glad to meet ya. After the game, let's go get some pizza. What's your name? He asked. I can't tell you, I fear, for Elle was afraid that her sisters might hear. When the game ended, the others clapped. They were good sports, even though they got zapped. Will you wait for me, please? Prince stood by Elle's chair. I'll shower and change and blow dry my hair. Elle stayed till the clock blinked 9:58. In 2 more minutes, she would be late. She got up and ran. It's sad, but it's true. A lace came undone, and she lost a glass shoe. But she couldn't stop now. She hurried on. All she saw was a trash can, and her bike was gone. Ellie waved at the can, and she said, Kerplike! But the can wouldn't change back into a bike. Then she looked at her clothes. Oh no, they're the same as the one I was wearing for Fairy Godmother come. She waved at her clothes. Poof! They didn't change either. Where's Godma? She wondered, now that I need her. Meanwhile, Prince Charming, looking pretty cool, was busy signing photos for the fans at school. When he finished, he looked all about. Ellie wasn't inside, so Prince went out. Outside, he saw no one, just some girl who ran off down the street with a huge garbage can, but on the steps he spied one sparkly shoe. This sneaker, said Charming, gives me a clue. Next morning, Cinder-Elly tried giving Prince a call, but his number wasn't listed in the book at all. At the same time, Charming sat at a table. He drew the sneaker as well as he was able. Beneath it, he wrote, For all to see. If you lost the sneaker, please telephone me. Then he wrote his name and phone number too. He went to the copy shop to print a few. Prince taped his copies, once they were complete, to every single lamppost on that busy street. Many women phoned him, with feet too big or small. Prince Charming wasn't happy. Won't the right one ever call? Hey gang, look out! Here's Sue, here's Nellie, with a poster to show Cinder-Elly. Let's call up Prince, said Sue and Nellie. That's not your shoe, said Cinder-Elly. Oh no, they said. But we'll try it, since how else could we ever meet a real-life prince? They phoned Prince Charming, and just as they planned, he dropped in to visit with the sneaker in hand. Prince was surprised by Nellie and Sue. He said, I don't remember either of you. Sue tried the shoe and fell down flat. Poor Sue, laughed Nell, your foot's too fat. Next, Nellie tried and went into a tizzy. The shoe was so tight, it made her feel dizzy. Then Ellie came out from where she'd been looking. Her sisters yelled, Ellie, go back to your cooking. Cinder-Elly sat down and put on the shoe. Then she took out the other and put that one on too. Excuse me, called someone. May I come in? Please do, said Ellie. Godma, where have you been? I've been busy, she answered, but I know my duty to see Cinder-Elly and her friend Prince Cutie. Prince Charming, he corrected. Well, how do you do? It's time you saw Ellie in the clothes that you knew. Poof, poof, she waved. Ellie's clothes became the one she had worn to the basketball game. Yikes, screamed the sisters. Shh, Godmother told them. You deserve a good scolding, and she started to scold them. You are forgiven, said Ellie. I'm sure that you've seen that it's awfully wrong to be terribly mean. You're right, Cinder-Elly, and we promise we know it. If we ever feel mean again, we just won't show it. Prince said to Ellie, Let's go spread the news. Wait, Prince, said Ellie, till I change my shoes. They walked down the street, holding hands, pretty snappy, and everyone lived forever happy.